Hey, this is Kaja Elliott, Bronx born and raised, ATL made, Bay Area becoming, and this is the As Told By podcast. Once again, it's on. We're back with another episode of the As Told By podcast, and I have a fun conversation for you all today. Just for a little time reference, it is the culmination of Black Joy Week here in Oakland. Oakland Black Joy Parade is tomorrow, and there have been festivities going on all weekend long, particularly Black Vines, world's or nation's largest Black, and I should say the world. I want to see if somebody's bigger than that. But the nation's biggest Black-owned wine festival. We just left from there, so we're in the mood to talk. And when I say we, this is a person many of you who listen to this podcast will probably know. Charleston native, content creator, community organizer, as of recent, show host, all the things. KJ Kearney, Black Food Fridays. Welcome to the As Told By podcast.
Thank you for accepting me as I am.
Hey,
yes.
That's what the podcast is about.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but for real, thank you for having me. This whole weekend has been dope. It's almost sad that I have to go back home so quickly.
I know. The trip was a short trip, but that's okay because there's going to be a part 2 at some point, we hope.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Part 3, 4, 5. Like, Oakland is dope.
Hey, y'all heard it. You heard him say it. I didn't twist his arm.
You heard me say it.
Oakland is dope. Okay, so what are you doing in Oakland for the folks who don't know?
For the folks that don't know, I'm in Oakland hanging out with my friend Kaja and Fern. Fern is the founder of Black Vines, the aforementioned Black wine festival, And Fern said, when I met her in Atlanta, we hit it off, and she was like, you got to come up for this festival. And she brought me up, and I got to give Fern a shout out for that, dog. Like, that Black woman said, I'm going to make sure you get here no matter what. And she flew me out here, and I've been having the time of my life.
Fern is a real one.
She is a real one.
Fern is a real one, and that festival we just left was a real one.
She's so dope. And the event is dope. And I would like to just say, real quick,
we at the Claremont Hotel, y'all. So you hear that in the background. You know, we're in one of these nice, fancy office rooms on the side, but this is still a functioning hotel, and people are out and about. If you hear that in the background,
yeah, but they ain't stopping nothing though. We good.
We here.
The one thing I want to say, and I know we'll get into this a little bit more, but I get invited to a lot of events, Black owned and otherwise. And the execution, the level at which Fern and her team, executed this event is something that, I mean, I'm going to take back when I start doing events again, you know, just things that she thought of that, you know, I'm going to just be real because this is a safe space that a lot of Black events don't think of. She took care of. So I want to give her a shout out, but I'm sure we'll get into all that.
We will. Amazing event. But nonetheless, you are here. So, KJ, I met you through Instagram, following your content, really liking what you shared and what you thought was important. And then I had occasion last year to come out to Bay Haven in Charlotte, and that's where I met you in person. And I would imagine that probably is a similar story for a lot of people that you know, like you have met them. But let's take it back to where Black Food Friday started. So if I read correctly, or if I remember correctly, this started for you in 2020?
Absolutely. April of 2020.
Okay. People was getting busy during the pandemic.
Right.
Okay, so tell us how it started.
I mean, and I want to be clear, if you did not start a Instagram account that got nominated for a James Beard Award during the pandemic, there's nothing wrong with you. People were just trying to survive. I wasn't even trying to do that. It just happened. So, I had done some food stuff in the past, and I'm a community organizer. And so, like, that's my full-time job. And so I'm always interested in different ways we can bring people together in a non-divisive way, right? And so I made this list of Black-owned restaurants in Charleston, in the Charleston metro area, that went kind of viral. I just put it on Google Maps and it got shared like 8,000 times.
Oh, wow.
That was February of 2020. So then April, when the world shuts down, I'm in the middle of writing a book about how Beyonce is the greatest community organizer of all time. And I needed a little break because it was a lot of research. And so I was like, oh, that food thing was pretty dope. Let me just make an Instagram account and I'll let people know what Black-owned restaurants are open during COVID. That's
Wait. So you weren't already on Instagram. You had to make one.
Well, no, I had a personal account.
Got it.
Put it that way. Yeah.
Got it.
But I created the Black Food Fridays account on a whim, April 5th, 2020. I bought the domain name. I made the logo. I created the account like in an hour. I did all that in an hour. It was just like, oh, this is a good idea. I'm going to try it. Mm-hmm. So I did. And in a month, I gained 1,004 followers. I will never forget that because I was like, 1,000 people care about what Black-owned restaurants are open during COVID?
Right.
I must be on to something. Mm-hmm. So that's the origin story, and then obviously it kind of took off from there.
Okay, so you set it up. You've got now the ear of 1,000 plus people. So beyond the list, what do you start generating on this new account to talk to and remain connected with these people who are there?
Great question. I would have, if I'm going to be honest with you, my growth that summer was wild. I went from like 1,000 followers to like 8,000.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Because of the June boom. That was the summer where Breonna Taylor and George Floyd's murders became news, and white people pretended to care about Black people's stuff. And so a lot of Black creators saw an increase in their followers. And because of what I was doing something that was, yes, centered around Black people, but didn't make white people feel guilty, right? And it gave them a tangible call to action. With all this energy and guilt they had, following my page gave them a step-by-step guide on how to support Black people. Pick a Black-owned restaurant, go there on a Friday.
Simple.
Done, right? So I know that's part and reason why my thing grew so fast, because of those tragedies and white people feeling guilty and me being a place that did not judge them. Now, to be fair, it wasn't like I wasn't trying to judge them. I wasn't cognizant of them. It wasn't about them. It was about these Black-owned restaurants. But I think it was like a happy, a perfect storm. You know what I mean? Of just a confluence of guilt and tragedy and right time, right place. So it blew up that summer. And then what I did, because I'm a community organizer, is I just listened to the people. So if somebody was like, hey, I live in Iowa and there ain't no Black-owned restaurants near me, but I do want to support, okay, well, how about some Black sauces and Black seasonings? I'll start writing about that. All right. And then somebody's like, hey, my company wants to cater an event and we want to be intentional about okay, so I'll start writing about Black caterers. So none of this was planned. All of it was organic, and by organic, I mean I was operating off of vibes. Pure vibes.
Well, the vibes were good, evidently.
The vibes were high, bro. They were high.
The vibes were good. And so, you mentioned that you have been doing this in tandem with the job and the career that you had all along, which was as a community organizer. So talk a bit about what that job actually means as far as what do you do on the day-to-day in your community?
In my LinkedIn bio, I get paid to be nosy. That's what I get paid to do. I go to neighborhood association meetings, city council, county council, any meeting that's going on in the community and might affect the residents that I work with. I go. I find out what's going on. I bring that information to my team or to the community, whoever needs the information, and then I help however they need my help. And so my job is to be in community with Black people, that I get paid to hang out with Black people. And not just Black people. I get paid to hang out with the least of us. You know what I mean? The neighborhoods that we serve are low income, historically Black, but low income. I get paid to hang out with the least of us, and it's something that I enjoy because I enjoy being in community with our people. And I also enjoy dismantling myths. So one of the myths, at least in the communities that I organize in, is that because they're poor, they're not working. You're right. And so statistically, we did some research through the Census Bureau, and found out that in our region where we serve, our average income for our neighborhoods is about $25,000 a year.
Wow.
But 80% of those people work, an 80% employment rate. So that means that these are hardworking people who, because of maybe prior criminal activity, because of education levels, because of circumstance, because of a lack of knowledge, just don't have better jobs. They're working, but they don't have better jobs. And so, yeah, I love being able to dispel rumors or myths about our own people, even to our own people, because we don't really know each other the way we think we do. So, yeah, I get paid to do all of that, and I love it.
Well, that's an interesting point because a lot of times, to your point, we don't know each other the way we think we do because we're divided by socioeconomic lines. So we all kinfolk, but many of us hadn't seen our kinfolk in a long time.
That's real.
Yeah. So when you talk about these two distinct parts of what you were doing, when did you start to see a connection between the two audiences, or have you found that they've been separate? Because I would imagine a person making an annual salary of $25K may not have money to go eat at a Black restaurant or anybody's restaurant for that matter.
Yes and no. And what I mean by that is, in addition to being a community organizer, I also used to work in public education. And I worked at Title I schools. I worked at alternative behavior schools, right? And a lot of the parents at the children, a lot of their parents were Title I parents. They were parents who didn't make a whole lot of money.
Okay.
But somehow they found a way for that child to get a new pair of Jordans, right?
We will find the money.
Not just Nikes now, Jordans. So what I learned is that people will pay for what they want. If they want it bad enough, they'll figure it out. So I put my content out for anybody who wants to consume it. I'm not worried about your income. They ain't got nothing to do with me. So, somebody who's rich can have a terrible palate and all they want to eat is McDonald's. And somebody who may not have as much money, they're the adventurous one. They're the ones that's going to save up or find a coupon or wait till restaurant week to get the discounts, They're going to do what they need to do. So, yeah, I don't even think about income. I think about Blackness when I make my content or I choose what to post, but I don't think about income at all.
Yeah, yeah. So just to continue down the line of chronology, you create the account, you're doing the job, your following is increasing. At some point now, the pandemic is over, things are back open. For some people, that was a point where stuff fell off for them because folks now are no longer a captive audience. They're back out in the world and they're not absorbing internet content as heavily as they were before. But for you, it seemed to be the exact opposite. What do you think was the difference?
Oh, this is an easy question. A couple things. Number one, again, remember, my premise is inclusive from the outset, right? My account was not predicated on making anyone feel bad other than racist. If you're a racist, you probably don't like my page. Everyone else can get down with what I'm getting down to. But this is the part that I think people, they always ask me how I get to this level of success, social media-wise. And I'm like, you're not going to like the answer because it's not hard. The answer is an easy answer. Building a social media following is not hard. It's tedious. So I was posting during the pandemic 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day.
That's a lot.
A lot. That is a ton of content.
I was like, woo, that's a lot.
Yeah. Like now I'm down to where I might, I'll post once a day. And, there are some days where I might choose not to post. And that thing will kill me. You know what I mean? I'm just so used to posting content. But when you out of people's sight, you out of their mind. That's why these large corporations spend so much on advertising, so you never forget them. I did not have money, but I could do that, especially during the pandemic. I could just post. Ain't nobody going to work anyway. Post, just post, just post. Instead of watching Netflix, post. Instead of being on YouTube, post, whatever. So that's it. That's what separated me from a lot of these content creators is that they had a wave of inspiration or motivation and they rode that wave. But because there was no discipline behind their structure and their content posting, rather, they fell off because you can't keep that up without practice or at least some kind of outside, stated goal of, all right, this is what I'm doing every day.
Yeah.
Like,
This is what I'm trying to get
this
to.
is what I'm trying to get to. So I think that would be my main difference.
It's hard to find a target if you don't know what direction you're going in. So good on you. And, just from what you say about, I don't have a bunch of money to throw at it, but I do have the time, right? And the inclination to do it. But in the vein of I'm trying to move this forward and, I'm not like rolling in money to bankroll all of this. I read the story. I don't know if I read it or if I heard you tell it. I feel like I read it. But you told to me what was such an interesting story about going to a conference against your better judgment in Atlanta and that becoming a pivotal point in your journey as a creator because it led to some things that became really beneficial as time went on. So I thought it was such a good story. Tell that story.
Oh, yeah. I went to CultureCon in Atlanta, and I did not have the money. I'm going to be honest with you. I had just enough room on my credit card to get the ticket, get the hotel, and by ticket, I mean ticket to entry, but ticket flight, because I don't be driving to Atlanta.
It's 4 hours, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're like, I ain't doing it.
No.
Okay.
If I can fly, I'm going to fly.
Okay.
And you know what? To be honest, that was not the trip I flew. I did drive that trip to save money. You're right. Absolutely.
Okay.
So I did drive that trip. But still, I pretty much maxed out the rest of my credit card to get there. Because as a community organizer, and we talked about this, outside of this conversation we're having now, that as a community organizer, what I understand more than most average people who claim they want community is that community is a verb. It's a thing you do. It's not a thing you wish for. It's not a thing you hope for. You make community. Or someone will make a community and then you have to wait for them to make it and then you can join it. So I'm a big proponent of take the trip. You know what I mean? Buy the ticket,
Figure it out on the back
go to the conference. You know what I mean? Now, unless buying this ticket is going to somehow jeopardize your livelihood. I'm not telling nobody. Don't
be sitting in the dark when you get back from the trip.
Get mad at me. I'm not saying don't pay your light bill, but all things considered, if you have to stretch out, go, because relationships are built at the speed of trust. And I met a lot of cool people there, but the one person I met, and this literally changed my life, was Steven Satterfield, who's the host of High on the Hog, the award-winning show on Netflix, High on the Hog. I had been there all day at the event. I was ready to go back to my hotel, so I was walking to my car. And guess who came out the bathroom? Steven Satterfield. Serendipity. And I said, you know what? This might be weird because he just came out the bathroom, but I'm going to say what's up.
Like there's a certain number of feet you got to be from the bathroom before somebody can speak to you.
Yeah, I mean, bro was just like literally getting out the bathroom. And so I did give him about 10 feet. I'm not going to lie. I gave him about 10 feet. And then I was like, hey, I'm about to leave, but I just wanted to introduce myself. My name is KJ. And he was like, I know who you are. I know. Wow. He's like, I know what Black Food Fridays is. I'm like, oh, well, shit, that's what's up. And he's like, I really like what you got going on. Long story short, he asked me for my cell phone number. I'm like, word. We exchanged numbers. We stayed cool. Months later, he calls me. Hey, I can't pay you. I can't fly you. But we got a segment for the show, High on the Hog, season 2. I think you'd be perfect for. And I know, if you can't make it, I'm not tripping, but I want to extend you the opportunity. And your boy is a
opportunity.
Put it on the car, bro. Put it on the car. Let's go. We'll figure it out. So I went to New York City. We filmed in the Bon Appetit test kitchen in the the new World Trade Center that they built, right? I mean, it was a full operation, bro. And we filmed the segment, and I thought we crushed it. And then I didn't hear nothing for a while, because TV takes forever.
I'm learning that through people. People are telling me that is the case.
It is the case. So I didn't hear anything, but we did stay in touch. And then I saw on Instagram, he was like, oh, yeah, I got this new company called Hone Talent, Hone. And I'm going to be representing people of color in the food space because even people in the food space need talent agents.
Yes, they do. And hold on there before we go to home, because we're going to get there. But I want to dial back on a point you raised about your meeting with Stephen. And I'll get your perspective on this because it's interesting how the roles reverse. I think we all have been in that situation where we are somewhere doing something for the advancement of something we're passionate about. And we come across somebody who we know we need to know or want to know in relation to what we're trying to do. And we can go a few ways with that. Sometimes we do the cool cat and you act like you don't see them and you really do. Or you're afraid to go up to them and say something because you just don't know if they're feeling like they want people coming up to them that day. It's even happened to me just because I think, particularly with people who have large social media followings, you spend so much time online going back and forth with people that when you're out, like, I don't want you in my damn face.
Real.
And I really try to respect that might be the day that the person's like, I don't want you in my damn face. But I also don't want to squelch an opportunity. So now that you are in the position of visibility where people are out at events seeing you and wanting to come up, what does that feel like when you think back to that experience you had at CultureCon?
I've never tied the two together. That's a good question because I've never done that before. I've never had an interaction with someone who, claims to be a fan of my work. And then I'd be like, damn, I did this to Steven one day. I've just never done that. But since you asked the question, what I will say is that I think it's full circle, right? Like, this is what's supposed to happen. If we are, as a people, dedicated to the liberation and autonomy of blackness, however you want to define that, right? Then that means we have to both be willing to be lifted up and lift someone else up. Mm-hmm. We got to do both because, again, community is a verb. Just like support is a verb. You got to do it. And so I always make the time if somebody comes to me in a non-weirdo way.
Non-weird.
Yeah, like if you're being a weirdo, I'm going to try to not have that conversation. But words of affirmation is my top love language.
Okay.
So flattery will get you everywhere with me. Talk to me nice. I will have a 10-minute conversation with you. I mean, listen, you saw me at Black Vines today. Mm-hmm. I had multiple 10, 15-minute conversations with people who said they were fans of my work because they were nice about it.
Yeah.
And I had time. So it's not, to me, it's not rocket science. Like, you have something I want, or let me rephrase that. You are someone I admire. Mm-hmm. I love words of affirmation. So my first inclination is to give words of affirmation, to give people their flowers immediately, because I want my flowers. Mm-hmm. So that's what I did with Stephen. And when people approach me in that way, that's how I'm going to respond positively.
Hey.
Yeah, you did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you were very nice. Like,
I tried not to be a weirdo. I tried. I came to Bay Haven just because I like to travel to these food festivals, and I just like to travel for food because I just like food. But I was at Bay Haven, and a lot of Black influencers were there, a number of whom I met during that time. But I was very cognizant of the way I approached people because I understand people get tired of being approached. And in a social media world where a content creator is a dime a dozen, people may feel like, what do you want? I can't help you with nothing. Like, what do you need? I can't put you on to anything. So I always just have an awareness when meeting people. It's like, hey, it's just a, hey, how you doing? I'm not looking to get anything out of you. You know what I mean? If you got something for me, I'll take it. But I'm not looking to get anything.
Well, let me add this, okay? This is just KJ, okay? If another social media influencer does not feel this way, that's on them. I expect people to want something from me.
What do you mean by that?
Because that's how the world works. We all need someone to help us, to point us in the right direction, to provide resources, to provide information. And again, I'm a community organizer. Like, I love when people coming to me ask if I can help. Now, I might not always be able to do so, but I'm not offended, nor am I worried about that. If I can help, I will. If I can't, I can't. It ain't that hard, but I think it's just a foolish mentality to walk around Earth, especially as you become more notable, and just be like, damn, I wish people would just love me for me. Them niggas don't know you. They don't know you. They know what you show on the Instagram. They don't know you as a person.
Correct.
So to be shocked when they want a piece of whatever it is you showing online, that's stupid to me. To me.
I hear you. I mean, as part of a content creator, you're not selling a widget, so you are the commodity. You are the thing that people want to interact with, you be attached to. You are the brand. You are the face. So I get what you're saying. It makes sense. It makes sense. So now circling back, so you meet Steven Satterfield, and shortly thereafter, he launches Hone. I remember when I saw, and I was telling you this earlier, when I saw the post that Hone was a thing that was being launched, I was so excited. And people were like, why are you so excited? What is that? What does that mean? And I'm like, you know how actors have talent representation? There's an agency, William Morris Agency, where they can go and people negotiate deals for them and make sure they're not getting jerked over with their money. And they give them media training and they help them get a media, all the things that help you to get yourself active in the space, to get you out of all the entanglements of the weeds of, hey, do you want to come do this thing? And you're in the conversation with the brands. They're managing all that for you. They're handling comms and PR inquiries for you. And I'm like, this is amazing because this is being created for people who talent agencies, as we know them, are probably overlooking. Influencers, content creators, chefs that maybe are not on some huge national televised platform, but are doing excellent work. And they were leaning into this representation for Black and brown people. So I was like, hell yeah, it's exciting. As a person who creates content, but also as a person who loves food and the industry and this whole emergence around Black people in the food space, right. I was like, this is exciting and it's dope as hell.
I think so too. And so when I saw that Steven was creating Hone, I leveraged my relationship and I hit him up and I was like, hey, bro, y'all got space for me? And he was like, oh, absolutely. Like, if this is a thing you want to do, this is definitely something I think I can help you with. And again, had I not taken that trip to Atlanta and then that trip to New York City, I would not be able to say I have representation from Home Talent, right? Again, do not spend money you can't afford to spend, but be willing to take some calculated risks, especially if those risks are going to enable you to be in community with people.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
It makes all the sense in the world. You have to decide at the end of the day, what is it worth? What is the opportunity worth? Do you have more to lose or you have more to gain? And sometimes, roll the dice on that credit card.
Yeah, and I'm going to be real. I've taken trips that were a complete waste of my fucking time. A complete waste of my time. I could have spent that money on a number of other things. But you don't know until you gamble, right? And I don't have kids. I'm not married. So I can take a lot more risk than maybe some other people can. And I understand that that is a privilege that I have. Yeah. But I leverage that privilege, right? Like, I use it. It's not a thing that I have and I say, oh, well, other people can't do it, so I'm just going to stay home. Sucks for you, but I'm gonna come to Orlando. I'm gonna come to Oakland. I'm gonna go to New York City. If I think it could benefit me, I'm gonna take that trip.
I'm there.
Every time.
So now that you have representation and you are part of the Hone family and you are now doing this at a much larger scale, what's the biggest difference you see between doing it pre-representation and post? Is there a difference?
There
But let me add a piece of that on.
Okay.
Is there a difference in the way brands or people looking to partner with you approach now that you've got representation?
Absolutely. Having management let me rephrase that. Having management for me has accomplished a couple of things. The first thing is it weeds out pretenders, right? People don't mind wasting your time, but for whatever reason, they're not trying to waste your agent's time or your manager's time, right? So what was happening at first would be people would reach out and I'd be like, oh, cool, that's something that Shanika handles. Let me give you her email address. Matter of fact, I will send an email and CC you on it, right? Oh, you got a manager now? You too big to do business with your boy now?
Wow.
Yes, I am, because you be bullshitting and I'm not wasting my time. So it works as I would say a sifter of pretenders, because even people who don't have the money, if they really want to work with me, they'll talk to my manager and they'll say, look, we got a limited budget or we don't have a budget. Is there anything we can do? Right? Because again, if you really want something, ask for it. Closed mouth don't get fed. So it weeds people out or allows people to self-select themselves in or out of the process.
Okay.
Number two, it has helped me create pricing around what I do.
So important.
So important. I did not know how much money people were making doing some of the things that I was doing naturally, doing for free. And then my manager is like, oh, no, I know people who are getting $20,000 for that thing. I'm like, what? Bro, we had a meeting a couple weeks ago. I'm not going to say no names because we ain't signed no contracts. We had a meeting a couple weeks ago with a organization that said they needed me to help them curate this long process of a thing. My manager texted me while we on the call. She said, oh, I think this is a $75,000 gig. I said, what?
Say what now?
$75,000? I just didn't know the prices. You know what I'm saying? Because I was just operating off of vibes, like I told you. Now, again, not a contract has been signed, no deliverable. Like, this is just initial conversation. She has been in this industry. She knows, especially she knows what these white people is getting for the same work, for less work. You know what I mean? So she like, oh no, that's the number. If they want you to do this, that's the number. I'm like, great. So that's been the second thing. It's helped me establish a value for my talent. And then last but not least, just someone to follow up.
Okay.
I'm an ideals man. I'm not necessarily the pitch man. You know what I mean? I'm not the I'll send that email tomorrow man. You know what I mean?
Not in the administrative weeds.
Yeah. Like that's not really my jam. And my team, Marissa and Shanika, that's what they do. Like this is their thing. So they know how to, that should be worded this way. Oh no, we're not, no. That much money? No, we're not doing it. I'm gonna tell a story.
Tell that story.
My manager told Kamala Harris no.
Say what now?
Yeah.
Wow.
South Carolina, for those of you who are not politically engaged, is the first state in the nation to vote during presidential primaries, right? And so every presidential election cycle, we get bombarded with presidential candidates all the time.
Okay.
A couple months ago, my manager got an email. It was like, hey, from the Democratic Party, the National Democratic Party, because I used to work in politics and I ran for office. So like I'm politically astute, you know?
Okay.
And they reached out and was like, hey, we have a big client, a big member of the party coming down, and we want them to hang out with KJ. Okay. My manager's like, cool. So what's your budget? We actually don't pay people to hang out with. So she's like, you're coming down to campaign. So you want people to give money to your candidate, and you want people to vote for your candidate, and you want a black man in Charleston, South Carolina to do free labor for the Democratic Party. That's a bad look. So then they were like, oh, okay, well, I'm not supposed to tell you, but let me tell you who it was. And then they told her. And then she texted me. It was like, so I told these people no. I hope you're not mad, but I just really think it's in your best interest. And I'm like, who was it? And she told me. And I was like, oh, no, absolutely no. Absolutely no. Absolutely no. They raise millions of dollars. You want me to hang out with all day? So
You want a whole day of my time.
You're going to be taking pictures. You're going to be videotaping this. You going to post this? Nah, bro. No. And like we've talked about before, if it's meant for me to hang out with Madam Vice President, we will hang out one day.
Yeah.
And it will be beneficial to both of us. But I'm not using my PTO.
Taking no sick time.
I'm not taking no vacation time to go hang out. You got paid to make this phone call to ask me to come here.
Right.
She got Secret Service. They getting
Getting paid.
She got a chief of staff. They getting paid. She getting paid. Everybody getting paid. But you want me to just be like, No.
I'm just happy to be here.
No.
I agree that, and it's hard to make those determinations, especially when you're on your way up, right? It's hard to turn down things that feel like stepping stones, things that feel like visibility, opportunity creations. But I can imagine that there has to be some structure. So for people who do not have the same number of followers you have, do not have management, do not have representation, but they want to be able to create some of that structure for themselves in their own influencing and content creation journey, what are 2 or 3 things you would recommend that they do?
Get out the content creation game.
Uh-oh.
Content creators, hear me and hear me clearly. Get out of the content creation game. And why am I saying that? Because content creators are a dime a dozen. And as black people, we are going to get paid less than a white person for the same amount of reels, same amount of Instagram stories, same amount of TikToks, right? When you play the content creation game, what you're playing is a pick-me game. Target, look how I can get the people to dance. Give me money. Pepsi, look how I can get these people to move. Give me money. Nah, bro. You got to have, and this is what I'm working on going forward. So I'm telling y'all some things that I'm actively working on. You have to have intellectual property. That's what people want to associate with them. They can find a person to post about their burger, about their vacation. Anybody can post about that. But having a piece of intellectual property that you own, that like, this is a thing that I do. Do you want to be aligned with this said brand? That's different than, hey, can you give me money to tell everybody how much I like your product? Right? Like it's a different mindset. You might ask for the same amount of money, but at least with the product that you own, then you get to dictate the shots. And at this level of my social media career, I'm interested in dictating shots now. Before, like I said, it was just vibes. You want to work with me, Pepsi? Cool. You want to work with me, Target? Awesome. You want to work with me, okay, cool. Now I'm strategizing. And the strategy is to create content that I own that brands want to align with. That's the number one thing. Create you a piece of intellectual property that you can use to distinguish yourself from anybody else. If you can't, number two, if you can't come up with intellectual property, then be very clear about your actual skills and sell your skills, not your followers. Okay?
Okay.
So let me explain what that means.
Yes, I was about to say, let's
I saw it in your
digest
eyes.
that.
Yeah. For those of you can't see, she just looked up and to the left like, what is he talking about?
Okay.
So let me explain. I have 153,000 followers.
Okay.
You have 600.
591.
You have, by the time
Let's not beef it up.
No, by the time this comes out, you're gonna be at 600.
Okay, I'll take that.
Let's
I'll take that.
Okay. But you know how to interview people. Now, I've been with you in Oakland for a day and a half. What? 50 people you've introduced me to? You know, like legitimately 50 different people. You know what they do. You know their impact, right? You know their trajectory. That's a skill. Freelance interviewing is a skill, right? So yeah, I only got 600 followers, but if you listen to this podcast, my interview skills are above average.
Thank you for that.
You know what I'm saying?
I appreciate that.
Yes, that's a skill you can sell. I know people. That's all consulting is I know stuff and I know people and I can get in front of those people. That's a skill you can sell, right? So like, okay, if the numbers don't match, then what is it that you can actually do? What is a tangible skill you have? And maybe sell that skill and not the amount of followers you have, not the engagement numbers. Does that make sense?
It makes a lot of sense. It makes a lot of sense. Sometimes when I look at people's profile and it's up there in the bio, the number, right? Like I have this many on TikTok or like you can see them trying to create just in those few words, a value proposition for anybody that might be coming by and looking. And, you know, there's been times where I've had to have a realistic conversation with myself about what are you trying to do here? Because content creation for me came about very organically because they were the things I would be doing if Instagram didn't exist. I love dining out. I love the experience of food. I love playing in food. I love watching food programming. These are the things I would be doing anyway. So it felt like content creation was a natural next step to do that. But very quickly, it became apparent to me that this is like not where you're going to be able to build a house.
Yeah.
Right. And not necessarily where I even want to build a house. So I respect what you're saying about you need to find something that's a unique identifier within this because that's what people want to align with.
And the way people go viral so easily these days, right? Like there can be another black woman in the Bay interviewing people for her podcast, and for whatever reason, one of her clips go viral. Now she got 300,000 followers. That don't mean she better than you. It means her video went viral, and a lot of people, as is the case on social media, enjoy that clip and decide to follow. That don't talk about skill.
Yeah.
That don't talk about ability. That's your job to be able to sell your skill and ability. That's something my team has been able to help me figure out, like how to word that, how to identify what those skills are. And so, yeah, those are the two things I would say. Get out the content creation game and create you some intellectual property that you own. And number two, if you don't have followers, you better have skills and be able to tell anybody at a drop of a dime, I can do these 7 things and you can pay me to do any one of those 7 things. And pricing is something you can find on the internet.
Yes.
Or call somebody that is in the game and ask them if they're not a hater anyway.
Right. Don't be a hater. Don't be a hater. Well, you have taken your skills to television as of recent. So we saw you last year on, as you said, season 2 of High on the Hog. And then we've seen you just here recently on a new series on PBS. Talk about that.
What can I say? High on the Hog was a great experience. We talked about that a little bit. I don't want to waste too much time, but that was great. PBS has also been a great experience. Not not all positive, but all to my greater good.
Okay.
Okay. What I've learned by filming, and let me shameless plug, the show is a web series on PBS Voices YouTube channel. It's called Citizen Better. It teaches you how to become politically engaged if you not really a politically engaged person. Just how to, be a little bit better in your civic engagement. There's a lot of hands in this pot, right? There's PBS, the grant that PBS gave to North Carolina's ETV, and then South Carolina ETV, right? So there's like 3 layers of bureaucracy, if you will, which means that there's just a lot more people to have to talk to than I like. And because I'm hired as talent, this isn't my show, right? This intellectual property don't belong to me.
Yeah.
So I kind of got to go along for the ride. But the ride is very interesting. There are ups and there are downs. But overall, I've learned so much about how television production works and, shot lists and writers' rooms and all these things that I would have never color grading. And, I'm not doing color grading, but I get to see them do it and how you do that. And, so that's why we shoot on red cameras, because it produces a better raw image that you can then manipulate word. Now I know that, right? So I'm learning a ton of stuff that will pay off in the long run. So I'm not really sweating. I don't want to make it seem like this is a horrible experience, because it's not. It's a wonderful experience. There's just some stuff about it that I don't like. Yeah. But there's with any job you have, right? But overall, I'm learning so much that in my Operation Oprah that we talked about offline, I'm going to utilize some of this stuff.
Yeah. And what I thought was really dope about the first episode is we all came to it knowing you for food, but it really wasn't a conversation that was just about food. It was just like food is the medium for these ways that you can be engaged in your community. So we might have gotten you here on the premise of one thing, but we're about to flip it and bring you along on the journey of something else.
Look at you.
Hey.
That's a perfect summary of the first episode.
Listen.
You really watched it.
I really watched it. I really did. I watched. I subscribed to Who Made the Potato Salad.
Thank you.
I thought it was really funny and engaging. I know you just recently have made the move to YouTube. I did recently. I don't know if I'm staying. I don't like editing videos.
I don't either.
It's just a real shit show.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm not ready to hang it up just yet, but I have liked watching you try and move into these different pockets of things. So, in wrapping us up, I will ask you this question as far as when you look forward. I don't want to say when you look forward 10 years, because a lot of stuff don't take 10 years. But when you look forward in a perfect state, what do you think the impact of what you're doing would have on the community you serve? That
is not the question I thought you were going to ask. Damn,
it's
that
not?
was good. No,
okay.
That's a good question.
What do you think I was going to ask?
Where do you see Black Food Fridays in 5 to 10 years type deal? I thought it was going to be like that. You're asking what the impact is going to be 5 to 10 years from now.
Yes.
Man. Ooh, that's heavy. I can tell you what I hope the impact is. What I hope to do is create a blueprint for other socially minded content creators of color to be able to make content that is both engaging and fulfilling and offers them a pathway to monetization. I am 40 years old. I do not believe in starving artist syndrome anymore. When I was in my 20s, I would do it for the love. I'm 40. It ain't too much I'm gonna do for the love now. You know what I mean? Even if I love it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So the impact that I have is I hope I create a blueprint for others to follow and or modify for the purpose of them gaining creative freedom and being able to make a living. Because in 5 to 10 years, I would hope that, no, we're going to claim this. In 5 to 10 years, I will be a successful black media company head. You dig? Like, that's what I'm going to be. I'm going to employ.
Y'all heard it here first.
You heard it here first. I'm going to employ other black people. I'm going to be paying payroll taxes. I'm going to have to create an HR manual. You know what I'm saying? Like, that stuff doesn't sound sexy, except for the fact that I know we can't job our way to freedom. We got to start owning more stuff. And even if I never make more than, I'm going to make up a number, $10 million a year, right? That's $10 million that I can do whatever I want with.
Absolutely.
I want people to see that and be like, oh, I can be passionate about this thing, take a more academic or more serious approach, be funny about it, whatever, build community and make money so that I can then serve the people that I say I want to serve. In 10 years from now, if I am rich but disconnected from my people, it is a failure. That's a failure to me. I would rather, if I'm not making $10 million, I would rather make $250,000 a year and still live in community with black people. No Bentley, no flying spur, right? Like no Rolex, no Pateks, no mansion, no pool. I would be perfectly fine making $250,000 as opposed to like $10 million. If that meant I could still live and work with black people every day. That is more important to me than being a billionaire. I don't care about having $1 billion. I think it's gross to have billions of dollars when people don't have affordable housing, when people don't have reliable transportation, where people can't feed themselves. It's gross to me to aspire to exploit the labor of people so that I can have a boat. That's dumb and gross. And in 10 years, if I'm sitting at the top of a publicly traded corporation and I'm making $32 million a year, and there's some dude who can't pay his rent who works for me, I would have been a failure. Quote me on that. So I hope that answers your question.
That answers the question. It answers the question very well. And I will tell you from, as a person on the outside looking in, I have just really enjoyed your enjoyment in engaging with the community. A lot of people are active on social media, but they're not really engaging with the people who are there, right? The people who have come to be a part of their journey. So thank you for being engaging. Thank you for not being weird or being receptive when I approached you in a non-weird way.
Thank you.
And babe, you would say, hey, KJ, we chat every now and again on Instagram. And, here I am in person. Nice to meet you. And just thank you for being willing to be a voice for people who are coming down a similar path. I'm very encouraged watching what is happening for you, because if it happens for you, it can happen for anyone else.
Absolutely.
Yes.
I mean, I am special, but I'm not.
Someone asked you that today, did she not?
Yeah, she did,
She
right?
did, and
What
you
makes
had an
you
answer
special?
ready.
And I had an answer.
You had an answer.
Let me tell you something real quick before we go. I am not a humble person. I'm not rude. You know what I mean? I don't need to make you feel less than in order to feel good about myself, but I do not humble myself. I don't believe in that. I don't got no money. All I got is my belief in myself that I can do these things. And for me, I can't do that and be humble. Now, I can do it and not be rude.
Yeah.
I can do it and not shit on other people. I can't do it and not believe in myself in unreasonable amounts of belief. I have unreasonable amounts of belief in myself. I was on Netflix, bro. I still got a full-time job. You know what I'm saying? Like,
when you say it like that, it's crazy.
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't find out this social media influencer thing until I was 38 years old. That's wild.
Yeah.
This is a young person's game, bro. Like, I don't know no dances. I don't know no TikTok dances. I don't have no fashion tips.
I don't want you to get ready with me.
Yeah, I don't want you to get ready with me.
We good.
Leave me alone.
Right.
Get these jokes and these recipes and these restaurants and let's move on with our life. But anyway, yeah, thank you for allowing me the space to be me and for accepting me as who I am. And the fact that we are friends means that we are compatible on things that matter.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And that is what's important. If nobody takes anything from this conversation except this, then I would say that this is a successful interview. We are in community with one another. We went from knowing each other online to facilitating meeting each other in person to sitting down for an interview that hundreds of thousands of people will listen to.
I'm claiming that.
Claim it, right? And we're just at the beginning of this budding friendship. Mm-hmm. Who knows what doors or opportunities are going to come? What ways you might make for me and what ways I might make for you. Mm-hmm. That's what's beautiful about being in community with people. We could have just been internet friends forever. Mm-hmm. But now we're going to be real friends and internet friends.
And you know why?
Why?
Because like I told you the other day, you dope in real life. Oh. You can be dope on the internet, but you got to be dope in real life.
Praise him.
Hey.
Drop the mic. Cut the episode. We're done.
Tell people where they can find information about you and about where they can see the things you've appeared on.
Oh, great question. I would say that the main source of information is my newsletter, Who Made the Potato Salad, on Substack. So it's whomadethepotatosalad.substack.com. And also my Instagram account, which is at Black Food Fridays with an S on the end. No hyphens, no periods, no nothing. All one word, Black Food Fridays. If you follow me on those two outlets, you will get most of my information until the YouTube gets blown up the way it needs to be.
Okay, so YouTube's on the way, but for now, you can hit him up on Instagram or on his Substack and follow along with everything he's doing. Thank you for doing this interview, and thank you for coming to Oakland and having a great time, because Oakland is a great place to come have a great time. You're here on one of the best weekends in Oakland all year long.
Yeah, and if people would do their job and prep before they come to Oakland, then they would know to come to this weekend too. But that's a conversation for another day. Ooh. Mic drop. Peace.
Bam. That's another episode of the As Told By podcast. If you want to keep up with me in between episodes, you can find me at Hey K in the Bay on Instagram. We'll see you on the next episode. Peace.